Well, kids, it's that time. The UK is leaving itself. Pokemon roam the streets unattended, and XPQuest is back from Christmas break. Happy New Year, everyone. That's an inside joke.
Aha.
How's everyone's year going so far? Don't answer that. I'm your host, DJPimpDaddy, and tonight our guest hosts span 3 continents, so we're going to really tax those undersea fibers. So tonight with me, we got the illuminous Whiteberry, hailing from Denmark, is that correct?
I'm sorry, I have a lot of feedback here. I can't hear what you're saying.
You can't. You gotta mute. You gotta mute the button. Mute yourself. We'll come back to her. We got Raetac Rages, hailing from down under.
G'day, Cobber. How you doing?
Okay, now you're just acting.
Yeah,
and
you're
of
right,
course,
I am.
We have Braxwood, all the way from the Midwest, wherever that is.
Yeah, Braxwood, and it's about 200 miles from you are, probably.
We have a good ping, is what you're saying.
Yeah, in fact, your ping looks really good. I like your ping.
Is this what the kiddies are calling it nowadays?
So I want to send a shout out to our lovely live chat listeners over at mixler.com/playersalliance. The chat room shall be exploding tonight because this show's been hyped. There has definitely been a lot of hype for the show. So this is XPQuest Podcast Episode 7. We are streaming live on July the 7th, 2016, and our show topic tonight is Fallout 4, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Institute. I thought that was the most fun title ever. Yeah, we're going to get some feedback about the Institute versus Brotherhood of Steel. That will definitely come along at some point.
Hell, I'll represent the railroad here.
Okay, that's fine. So, I guess right off the bat, for the one person that doesn't know what Fallout 4 is, it's an open-world action role-playing video game developed by Bethesda Game Studios and published by Bethesda Softworks. It is the 5th major installment in the Fallout series, and the game was released worldwide November 10th, 2015 for Microsoft Windows, PlayStation 4, and Xbone. I will keep calling it the Xbone. And, of course, it is set in a post-apocalyptic Boston in the year 2287, 210 years after a devastating nuclear war in which the player character emerges from an underground bunker known as the Vault. So let's just get right into this. Everybody in this chat, not everybody in chat, everybody in this podcast, I hand-selected because you guys are like, you each play really unique ways. Like I brought Raetac in because you've done several Let's Plays about this on YouTube, and including one like role-playing one, which I thought was fantastic.
Thank you. You'll be one of the few.
It's good. It's out there. Everyone should go watch that. We got of course Whiteberry, who is the queen of decorating things. I guess that's the best way to put it. You're huge in the landmark. And you just love getting in there and tinkering with all the little settings. And if you could make a gigantic pie, you probably would have out of scrap metal, right?
Oh, definitely.
And then, of course, I had to bring in Braxwood because his play style is completely opposite from my play style. So I need a yin and a yang. So
you know what's funny, DJ? The first time you pinged me about doing this podcast episode was literally the first day that I launched Fallout 4 to try it out. And here we are. I've been playing it for like 5 months now.
Nice. That's funny. Okay, so yeah, you've been hooked. You've been caught though by the bug.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of been my game in 2016 so far.
That's been your game. So since we actually started planning this episode, they have released tons of DLC, including this thing called Automatron, Wasteland Workshop, Far Harbor, Contraptions Workshop, and a Vault Tech Workshop. And they have plans to release Nuka World next month. So how many of you guys right off the bat have even got the DLC?
I've got the season pass. Admittedly, I've only played Automatron and the Wasteland Workshop, and I fell off the wagon about then.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm exactly in the same spot from a DLC standpoint. I've got the season pass. Far Harbor is sitting there waiting for me, but I'm going to go ahead and finish the actual vanilla part of the story first, though. And I'm getting closer to that. I'm going slow. You know, you don't do a couple hours a night, and sometimes you get distracted. So it's gone slowly, but I'm getting there, and I will make it through all the DLC eventually.
And I've been, I have nothing. I have, I haven't actually played the main game through yet, so I'm just waiting for me to get back into the game and do that before I do anything about the DLC.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I modded the game heavily, like right off the bat, and I think that sort of ruined my experience with the DLC. Because when the DLC came out, it literally seemed just like fancy mods that have already been released to some extent. But I think I do want to go back and play like the story-driven DLC, like Far Harbor and Nuka World. That seems, I guess, appropriate. But yeah, they can't trick me in with fancy, automatrons and workshops and stuff. Once you've been in the Institute, you can never go back out.
I disagree, but anyway.
So, right off the bat, I guess, have any of you guys played any of the past Fallout games or Elder Scrolls? We'll start with you, Raetac. Like, what's your history behind Bethesda games?
My history with Bethesda games starts from Oblivion. That was pretty much my first. No, I tell a lie. I must raise my hand. I tell a lie. I actually did play the Elder Scrolls, the original one, number 1.
Wow.
I did play Daggerfall. I skipped Morrowind. I played Oblivion after that, Skyrim. I've mixed Fallout 3 into there somewhere. I picked that up. And Fallout 4, of course.
Nice. What about you, Brax?
Well, Skyrim probably was my first experience with the Bethesda game, and it was amazing, and I still haven't finished it. And then, here's a funny story. So the way I got Fallout 4 was right around Christmas time when stuff was going on sale, and I was thinking, I'd really like to grab that game. I've heard a lot of people talking about playing it. I don't usually buy games right when they first come out, so I tweeted something about, hey, I'd really like to try this Fallout game sometime, and within about 10 minutes, my Steam library had popped up and said, you've been gifted Fallout 3, you've been gifted Fallout 4. And so some people who were following me on Twitter were being very generous that day. Whiteberry, I will call you out, was one of the people that donated one of those games to me. And it actually made it so I probably wouldn't have bought the season pass, except I hadn't paid any money for Fallout 4, so I felt like I really might as well go ahead and throw some money since I'm using it so much.
I guess what difficulty settings is everyone playing it on? Because I'm gonna admit I suck at these games, so I gotta play on just straight up sissy settings.
I haven't changed anything, so I guess I'm just playing on the default level.
Yeah, normal for me.
Yeah, normal here too. I'm more of a experienced the story kind of player, not hardcore.
So I guess one of the things that I've noticed about all three of you is several of you, I believe, have replayed the entire thing, or at least started over several times. Like, what are the reasons that you guys have replayed? It's obviously probably not because you reached the end of the story and you just want to try a different branch. Like Raetac, I think you restarted because you you just kept adding mods until you broke the game. Is that correct?
Yeah, I did actually break the game once. Second time, actually no, I did break the game once. Generally, it's because of the way the settlement system works. I just kept adding mods to the point where the actual whole thing broke down, and I honestly got bored with the settlement system after a while.
Brax, you seem like you're taking more of the story driven. Is that correct?
Yeah, pretty much. But I'm not powering through the story either. I'm kind of taking a leisurely way through it. There's nights when I get in and I'm like, I'm not sure I want to do this quite yet, because I don't know if I'm going to have to commit to something. So I'm just going to go explore an area instead, So it just depends on what I feel like that night.
Do you have any replays, Whiteberry?
Well, I don't have replays, but I have restarts because I'm completely obsessive about knowing that what I'm doing is what I really want to do. So I've done a couple of times in the start where I just restarted the whole game because I had to see what the next option gave me, where that led to. If I took
That's
another
what
option,
save games are for.
I know, but and then I get, I don't want to go back to the old one I played, so I just build a new house and stuff and continue from there. Yeah.
I think I remember the tweet where I sent you a picture of my house, and I think I blew your mind that you could stack walls and make like a double high building, and that was like a game changer because I remember you getting so excited. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm gonna build a barn.
Exactly.
I can imagine you going into your settlement and just devastating whatever you had and starting over.
And it was really awesome what you had done there. I'm still excited about it.
So the entire game, of course, is set in a post-apocalyptic world, and I'm trying not to laugh at this gigantic message that's in the. You can all check our tweet feed. There's this gigantic message that someone stuck right in the middle of the document.
Bastards.
The post-apocalyptic world, bastards. Yeah. It's just criminals.
Sorry.
Hoodlums.
Oh, by the
broke in.
way, I have no idea what a PG rating is, but I guess I shouldn't swear.
Yeah. Or, show skin. Although this is a,
Okay, I'll
not
try
a
to contain myself.
Oh damn! I better cover up.
Yeah. So, there's all these. The whole plot is basically you survive a nuclear holocaust by living in a vault, and then you something in all these. Almost every single one of these stories, something happens to sort of eject you out of the vault, and then you have to sort of fend for yourself in the wasteland. And the game is incredibly bleak. Like, does anybody almost get depressed playing the game at points where you just have to sort of take a break from playing it? Because when you play games like Skyrim and Oblivion, you're just there's all these lush things, and you're just you always want to see what's over the next mountain, right? In this game, you're just it's just hopelessness and just death everywhere.
I can honestly say no.
Okay.
The same for me, actually. It's a bit surprising, but I actually find it kind of beautiful. Walking around and exploring. I would have expected it getting depressing as well, but it's actually soothing in some kind of way. Nuclear war is soothing. Yeah.
Some people want to watch the world burn.
Yeah.
Actually,
but I enjoy it. That's the gist of it.
Well,
So
for
here's the
myself,
thing.
yeah, sorry. For myself, the bleakness wasn't in the landscape; it was the situations where you found some skeletons being posed. That I found depressing.
Yeah, I had that as a bullet point really far down in the document, but that is one of the things that whoever's placing items in the world, they have both a sick sense of humor, as well as like they know how to hit you right in the feels.
Oh yes.
You know?
Oh
Yeah.
yes.
Like there's like skeletons next to, you know, like little cradles and stuff, and then they have like skeletons doing like very awkward positions, like you know, they died having sex in a toilet or something. I don't know. It's
My
There's
favorite
some-
is the one where there's like mannequins around a bathtub, like all the way around the bathtub, and then there's a skeleton in the bathtub. I think I was sitting there for half an hour trying to figure out what the story was in this.
That is an interesting point, because every single one's like a miniature scene that you almost have to interpret for yourself.
Yeah.
It's interesting that the devs would take that kind of time to sort of put all these little Easter eggy things in there.
Yeah. So I think, DJ, before you go on, I think the interesting thing about Fallout 4, though, versus I played a little bit of 3 before I went to 4, and I felt 3 was a little more, at least what I played of it, a little more bleak from the standpoint of there wasn't as much hope kind of injected into the game. At least some of the characters that I've run into in Fallout 4, they're really trying to struggle for the good of humanity, right? They're really trying to rebuild. And I think that spark of hope is something that it kind of contrasts fairly nicely with the despair that you see around you. It's kind of a phoenix type thing, right? Out of the ashes, humanity is rising again, which was kind of a cool theme to run through the game.
Mm-hmm. It's an interesting thought. I'm wondering, does anybody recall how far after the attack, I guess, that Fallout 3 actually happened? Was it like 210 years, or was it like immediately after?
I think Fallout 3 takes place about, don't quote me on this, but I think it's around somewhere between 20 to 50 years before Fallout 4. Well, basically, yeah, before Fallout 4. So they're fairly close together.
I say, after the attack, unlike the one I did on that one town. Yeah, I totally blew up that town in Fallout 3. I'll admit that.
You
I wanted
bugger.
a nice palace. That was a good apartment I got out of that. Those guys in that town were jerks too. Okay, so it does seem like, especially with you touched on that, Brax, with there's a lot of game mechanics in this game that sort of do make you stop and think about. There's like subtle lessons that are lurking below the surfaces. And there were so many times where I would do something in the game and I actually legitimately felt bad. And it's rare that a game makes me feel that way. Like, even games where you have the ability to like quick save and then, jump backwards, like, I don't know what it was. Like in Oblivion or Skyrim, I just had no qualms about just slaughtering somebody, just like, they're just in my way, and I just run them down, right? But I mean, especially in Oblivion too, I love, I actually felt good stealing. But in this game, like, when you're in an NPC's house, and you see just how decrepit and how there's much despair is, I felt bad, like taking water from them.
Yeah.
They're not looking. You're just like, I will.
It's
help
not
myself
like
to
they're not struggling already.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Did anybody else have any like feelings in this game that sort of crossed over into real life, where it actually made you stop and think about some of these situations?
Pretty much the final scene of the main quest line. Yeah.
You,
Go ahead, Barry.
Whiteberry?
I had with it's fairly in the start where you have to save this woman at a gas station from two people who are trying to get their money from the drugs her son bought.
Yes, I do recall that quest.
Yeah, and there's like 2 different scenarios you can choose from there as well. And I felt really bad about both of them because, none of them were sort of magically saving her son from the drugs and everything. But yeah, there wasn't one that was better than the other, but I did feel bad because, it's none of those I would have chosen in real life. If I would ever be in that situation. But yeah, and there were several of these where you think, okay, this is not what I want to do, but you only have these 3 options.
Yeah. I guess that sort of touched on something that I was thinking of as a question later. Was there more or less points, I guess, where you thought the dialogue choices were limiting you down a path that you sort of didn't want to take? Or do you think that there was adequate amounts of branching to sort of your story arc?
I think 9 out of 10 times it was okay, but there was that 1 out of 10 times where I would definitely have chosen some other way.
Mm-hmm.
To be quite honest, when you first get into Sanctuary after the whole tutorial, I'm sorry, but that was pitiful to the writers, whoever did that. It's no.
I guess the good news is that's like right at the beginning of the game, so you forget about it unless you start the game over.
There is that, but okay.
All right, so are you talking about the dialogue where you meet the robot and he sort of, oh, I'm glad you're back,
Yeah.
I mean, but after that, the main character loses all steam. There's like, okay, he should be like so gung ho about retrieval. If you okay, I'm going to include spoilers. So anybody who hasn't known about this, so
I'm going to mute you.
If you haven't known this already, Whiteberry, in the first hour of the game, I mean, come on.
Yeah. Okay.
If you're not so gung-ho about retrieving your son, why are you it was either that they should have rewritten the actual Sanctuary thing to be more violent, so you felt like you needed to build this sort of like power base to go get your son. It was just so lackluster.
Yeah. Hey, I know you're on a mission to save your son, but let's go kill some rad roaches in these buildings that nobody's in.
A settlement needs your help.
Yeah.
Mm.
Ooh, candy bar. Oh. So in chat, Sigtrix actually points out, yes, there was a big disconnect right at the beginning. Looking for my kid. Oh wait, let's build up a settlement. Let's do it. So.
I agree. I completely forgot about the kid and just started building. So I guess that's a good point you have there.
There is an amazing amount of, fantastic, cartoons out there literally about that point of someone looking for their kid and then suddenly they're just like the mayor of a town and I don't recall Skyrim being that bad, but it did have a very similar problem where the main quest is almost forgettable amongst all the noise. Some of the side quests are like the best things in the entire part of Skyrim.
That's true. At least Skyrim dumped you straight in the middle of things, and you could go like turn left and have no problem about not following the quest line.
Yeah. Like a dragon attacks right off the bat.
Exactly.
Or in my case, Macho Man Randy Savage. Best mod ever, by the way. Yeah! So, for a while there, I had the Thomas the Train one. That was just as amusing.
Okay, I never went that far with my modding, but anyway.
It's just like, they're like, what's that noise? Toot, toot. And it comes flying in. Oh, it's a great mod. Look that one up. So, the game is set in what's to be a fairly accurate, scaled-down version of Boston. So, there's actually endless reviews online of people, especially on like Tumblr and Reddit and all that, just going out and finding these actual spots. And there's so many landmarks and places that are actually exist inside of Boston. I guess like does the fact that like all of the weird turmoil in the world, does that impact what you would think, I guess the problems of showing a game where it's like decimated? like I guess a good example of this is like there's still controversy around like the Call of Duty series where they show like, you know, Washington D.C. just utterly destroyed and fighting, and I've even heard stories of like some of the overseas terrorists like Al Qaeda using pictures and images from Call of Duty, you know, just to sort of motivate people.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Like, does any of that sort of cross over into places where you almost wish they wouldn't use real life places, I guess?
I like it actually, DJ. I like that it kind of it brings a sense of realism to it, a sense of you know, actually this being an alternate timeline in a world that we kind of understand. The thing I liked about Boston is how they tied the Minutemen in as a kind of a patriot. You know, the Minutemen in our world happened in a certain time period, and I don't remember if they did that in theirs as well. But they're still around, and they're still kind of fighting for freedom. It's just a different kind of freedom now, and I just liked how they tied that faction into this particular place, because Boston's so symbolic of that whole revolutionary period for the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I don't know. I might be going off on a little bit of a tangent here, but I think I've actually nutted out the main the linchpin, the turning point of the Fallout universe 2 hours. And it happened right around the time when they were developing the atom bomb. There was one scientist who stumbled on the creation of microwaves. And with this, they were able to basically go into like long-range communication, that sort of business, like with the war and such. But the Fallout universe doesn't have microwaves. They don't have this sort of signal. So then they never developed it, which is kind of interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah, they went more the nuclear route than
Yeah.
than the transistor route, which is one of the main differences in the technology, and why you see, you know, 50s style things all over the place, because they're still using technology that we would consider really old, even though it's hundreds of years later.
Well, I did see somewhere that somebody, when they were sort of interpreting the game, they said that the Fallout universe, it was built in a world where the price of, you know, fossil fuels and gasoline was just astronomically high, which is why they sort of went the nuclear route. But the downside of that is it makes every single burnt out car, you know, a time bomb.
Oh, such lovely time bombs too.
So many cars have just, you know, you see a car on fire and you're like, run, dog! Skyrim versus Fallout, right? We brought this up a few times. I think I'm choking on hosting. Don't mind me. Do you think a Fallout MMO would ever actually work, sort of given the success of ESO?
No.
No.
I would say I would prefer not to see. You know what I prefer to see, DJ? I'd prefer to see some kind of a co-op multiplayer just within the game itself.
This I agree on.
Yeah, I could agree on that.
That could work.
Because
I mean, I've been asking for that for Skyrim as well, but can't have everything.
I would totally have to agree on that point, because while ESO is wonderful, it still just lacks the, I don't know, there's something about it that sort of just, it's like it feels like a dirty Skyrim. I don't know how to describe it. So Sig in chat is also agreeing. He says small-scale multiplayer would have been great. And of course, Andang is saying the problem with Fallout MMO is 20 million players all trying to loot the same corpse in a wasteland. Could you imagine 20 million players moving skeletons around in weird ways?
That would be amusing.
Oh, God.
That would happen. Do you guys think the game would be as good without the modding community?
Hell no. No, actually no. The actual Fallout 4 itself, in vanilla is probably a reasonable game, but Bethesda rely on their modders, and the current modding crisis that they're having with bringing modding to consoles is fun as hell to watch.
PC Master Race. No. That is an interesting subject because it's like I don't think I've ever played any of the Bethesda games without modding them to some extent. Like I have to. And even, do you recall, I think when Fallout 4 first came out, Bethesda told everybody they're not going to allow mods, or they did something to sort of prevent it. And then the first thing the modding community did was like, nope, we're still going to make our own. And then they just sort of went around all their barriers. So just so the people listening know, there has been some controversy, I guess, around, I guess it's something to do with letting PC-based mods end up on Xbox and PlayStation versions of the game. I honestly don't know enough about it, but I know that there's some sort of a controversy going on. Does anybody have any?
Yes, let me fill you on this. I've been following this topic with great interest. It's pretty much the people on the Nexus, where most of the PC mods generally do end up, have been ever since the Fallout 4 came out. Basically, other people, probably I would say some people who got more interest in the consoles than others, taking mods directly from the Nexus and uploading it to the Bethesda.net site without the permission of the original mod author. So
yeah, see,
And Bethesda wasn't doing anything to police that.
Exactly.
Oh, so it's more like I guess original
Who's
IP
moderating
theft,
the
sorry,
moderators?
Yeah.
Apparently, there's on Bethesda.net the moderators structure there is non-existent.
So Sigtrick in audio or in chat is saying Xbox Live and PSN require content to be approved before it is allowed on your network. So all those mods need to be approved for one. I could see that taking forever.
I also think there's some size limitations because of the hardware and everything. You know, I think I don't remember if it's per mod or overall the number of mods, but there's a size limitation for consoles.
And it doesn't help that mods that most of the mod authors that I know of, they do a lot of compression so they can get their mods down to a fairly small size. Yet, to get mods on Xbox, the files have to be uncompressed. So it severely limits them as well.
Yeah.
So DJ, I wanted to go back to your original question, because your question was, do you think that the game would be better without mods or is better with mods? Better is a subjective term, so that's a little bit tough. But I think what's interesting about having a good, vibrant modding community is that it extends the tail of the game. You know, Skyrim has been a great, popular game, and they're even remastering it now for a long period of time because it's a different game every time you play it, depending on which mod you've decided to install. So, I mean, I don't know whether better or worse is the right way to put that, but it definitely puts your game out there for a longer period of time and gets, more people involved in it.
I know I'll be going back to Skyrim once the remaster comes out.
Yeah, so I had to get in my phone to look this picture up. I literally took a screenshot of something I saw on Imager. Somebody released a mod called Indurol, and it's called the Shards of Order, and it is a complete conversion mod for Skyrim. So it's like a completely new game, end to end, new world, new items, new everything, new story. Almost like somebody took the Skyrim engine and just made it a whole new game. It's called Indurol. I'll put that in the show notes, but I saw that and I'm like, it gives me hope that their games are flexible enough to where the modders can just sort of go crazy with the support, I guess, or the I
don't know about flexible enough. They haven't updated their engine in like decades.
True.
I'm not sure if the game is better with or without mods, but it's definitely better with a modding community and the possibilities of modding. I think any game is better with that, as long as it's voluntary. What you install, right?
Yep.
Now, one thing I do appreciate about Bethesda games is access to that stupid console on PC. Like, I find it a lot easier, or it's a lot less nerve-wracking for me when I come across a game-breaking bug, a day after a game comes out. And if it's a Bethesda game, you could usually just sort of port your way around the problem somehow using the console. Has anybody had any of those situations where you just had to sort of cheat your way through something to sort of get around an early game bug?
Not that I can remember.
Yeah, I actually thought of it as really polished when it came out. I was surprised that, I knew it was a finished game, but it was really, really nicely done. I think it was minimal what I saw of bugs, really.
Yeah, I haven't had any trouble with bugs, but I like the fact that you have access to the console if you need it. I have used it for different. There's a mod that I use to be able to track your companions around, and it requires the use of a couple console commands to pick which companion you want to track. You let them go, and sometimes you send them somewhere. You're like, where did I send that guy? So it's a nice mod to have, and it's a nice way to be able to, I guess, have access to that level of the game.
I was sitting here trying to rack my brain, trying to remember what it was that broke that made me actually sort of go deep into the console, and that's what it was. It was early game, like a week after getting the game, and that was one of the reasons I recall that I started over. I lost my dog. And if you Google on the internet, there's just huge threads of just like AI breaking where you send your dog somewhere and it never makes it there, and then there's threads out there, and I was one of those people just sitting around like, where's my dog? It was so sad.
It's one of the interesting things, because I felt it, particularly with dog, you really get a relationship with it. So
actually,
it's
yes. Speaking of the dog, there is just recently a mod that's come out that allows you to actually keep dog meat along with a companion, and apparently that was actually in Bethesda wanted to keep dog meat with the character at all times, but for whatever reason they decided to split it off, make it its own companion. But that's a mod that if you're fond of dog meat and would like to have other companions, go check that out.
So, has anybody... I remember seeing in game there was a guy that came along and tries to sell you a dog. Has anybody ever actually... I remember at the time I didn't have enough money, and I sent him away, and I haven't seen him since. But like, does anybody know how that mechanic worked? Was it just like
absolutely
a pet that sort of stayed at your place?
Pretty much, it's a guard dog that goes to a settlement and gives you defense.
Yeah, I remember it was some traveling salesman, wasn't it? Or traveling guy who couldn't feed it or something. Yeah, and I was sort of thinking, okay, what do I do with this dog, right? Because it's just sitting there in the doghouse, and I was just trying everything in the book, but just let it be at the end. Yeah.
See, I never chose the dog because I was afraid it was going to make me give up dog meat at that point. I didn't realize how the companion system worked.
Right.
No, I just got this dog. I don't need another dog.
Oh, missed opportunities.
You could be the crazy dog guy. Big Trick in chat, he said, when I had enough money, he decided not to sell. That's terrible. No dog for you.
You can trap dogs now, so.
That is true, yeah.
Yeah.
You can trap death claws, right?
Yeah.
This is my pet death claw.
Yay.
So, how many times did you guys come across a monster that just totally decimated you? Like you were in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Oh, it didn't take me long. It was I can barely remember the name, so that's probably a Deathclaw. The first one you meet when you get your power armor.
Okay.
Yeah, he's tough.
First Deathclaw.
Yeah.
When you're like level 6.
Yeah. And it was it just killed me like 12 times or something. And I was thinking, okay, how do I do this? And it took me a while to figure out and get the stuff first that I needed and so on. So yeah.
So amusing side story that first battle, I didn't realize you had to put the stupid power thing into the armor. So I'm walking around with a dead power suit. And it's like you're chained to the ground. You're just like, and the whole time you're like beep 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 beep. And I think that was that Brax, that I think we just had like a therapeutic moment. That I think was what turned me off from the Brotherhood of Steel. I'm like, these power suits suck. Why is everyone loving these things? I didn't have the battery in it.
So there's a pit somewhat early in the game where there's also a Deathclaw hiding within like I don't remember if it's an old building or a broken down bus or something. And you go down into this pit and there's like just a box in the middle of it, and you can't see the thing until it's right on top of you, and all of a sudden you're like, Deathclaw. Oh.
They're never in a convenient spot.
Oh, and how about I just did the Museum of Witchcraft. Luckily, I'm a very high level now, but that place is. I could see when they give you that quest, you're only like level 15 or something, and I could see that being a real problem for people.
I think the one that sticks out to me was the first time I'm sort of tromping across Boston, and you're fighting through all sorts of raiders and things, and then you get to Swan Lake or whatever that place is.
Oh yeah, Swan.
Oh wow, was not expecting that. I that was one of the few times where like I went through all of my explosives. Like I didn't have anything left.
I went through there the first time and never triggered him. And then I was listening to a podcast, and they were like, hey, that Swan thing. And I'm like, Swan thing? What is that? So I went back, and I was high enough level that it didn't hurt me much. But, wow, if I would have triggered it the first time I was there, that's another challenge spot.
That reminded me early in Skyrim when you're at Bleak Rock. Or is it Bleak Rock? Whatever the first town you're in.
Bleakful Barrows.
No, not Bleak. What's the town with the? It's like the first major town you go into. The first big town with Whitehorse, is it?
Whiterun, I think.
Whiterun, yeah. Outside of Whiterun, you go tromping out into that field, and then you see a bunch of mammoths just walking around, and then there's that giant. And you're like, I should go play with the mammoths, and then the giant comes up and just knocks you to the other end of the world. That's kind of what that fight with Swan was.
I think we stumbled into an interesting thing about Bethesda games, though, is that when I had jumped into Skyrim straight from an MMO, and you don't have that kind of obvious level indicator for the content around you, I'm thinking, well, they put me in this area at level 15, so all of the stuff around here should be level 15, and it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You learn the hard way when to wait to do something.
Have any of you seen there's maps out there on the internet where it shows like the general level of where you should be, and it's like a color chart, and it's amusing to see how far past those boundaries I went. Like, oh my god, no wonder I died so much. It's a non-drawn line in the sand,
Yeah.
I think the two instances that I had that I was right out of my depths was the Milo Queen at the castle. I did that quest a little too early in one playthrough. And there's a behemoth at Carhenge. If you know what you're talking about, I'm talking about. There's a Stonehenge type arrangement with cars, and there's is it a behemoth, a mutant behemoth? One of those, really, pretty much like Swan, and that caught me by surprise as well.
I think isn't there an achievement for killing like all 5 of those giants or something?
There is.
I eventually took the fat man back to the castle because I tried so many times to kill that stupid Mirelurk queen.
Where's the first time you guys found a fat?
Where I first found a fat man, or the most amusing instance of using one. I can never remember where I found the first one. But my latest thing for actually using that is killing Kellogg.
I did that too.
I think you recorded that too. I remember.
I did the same thing. Yeah.
I found it in the place pretty close to the starting location, where you have a robot that you can reanimate. It's some sort of scrapyard or something like that.
Yeah.
That's the first one I found. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sarge,
Jewess of
like one of those
Sanctuary.
big Sarge robots. Yeah. Yeah, I remember the first time I found one was I was in Boston and I turned a corner and I saw a guy up on like a walkway, and then sure enough, like all you hear is beep, and you're just like, what is he? And then it was too late. You know, like as soon as you hear that, it's too late.
No, I remember being blown up by the one that's in a super mutant camp inside a satellite dish array. And I was sitting at far range, like picking these guys off, and all I hear is this missile going, whee! It's like, oh, damn, okay. Where
I
are
remember
you?
the first time I used one as well. It was, it wasn't pretty. It was by accident. I think I had sort of tapped to the wrong gun or something. So I actually shot and missed a skeleton. Yeah, very nice.
So one thing I love about the way they tell the story is that it's in this game. There's different ways they tell story. Rarely through cutscenes, right? The cutscenes are sort of focused around the main quests, but they do have you have various details and stuff in your Pip-Boy for the most part, but there's also all these other fantastic methods that they've used to sort of tell stories that if you take the time to use them and find them and seek them out, I think it just adds so much. But I wanted to get your opinions on it. The two that I could talk about, just right off the bat, is finding the holotapes, where you have various recordings and stuff of things that went on. That sort of harkened me back to the BioShock method of progressing a story along. And then, of course, the other one that I wrote down was reading the diaries of the bosses that they write in these hacked terminals. Does anybody have any fantastic examples they want to talk about that they're...
There is one that springs to mind, and that is the distress calls that you get on the Pip-Boy. You track them down to... They're automated distress calls to people that have died long time ago. But then you just see the end results, and then your mind basically builds the history after that person has recorded that message and where they're died at. There's one that I think of specifically. Somebody made a fallout bunker in a scrapyard and sealed themselves in, and their generator basically gave out and they all suffocated to death. But yeah, it's rather bleak and dreary, but that one really just stands out in my mind.
I definitely think it gives a creepy vibe to it, just to have that, the story told sometimes, 100 years after the fact in the case of some of these stories.
Yeah.
200 years, depending on when this stuff actually happened with the terminals. And the one that I remember, I actually had to look up because I didn't really get it, was there's one that happened kind of in the sewer pipelines with a serial killer and a detective pursuing him. And that was told through a series of 5 holotapes that you had to find as you were going through there. And I didn't get that had happened. I kept looking for the guy to kill I didn't get that this was something that had happened,
Yeah.
100 years before that I was just kind of stumbling upon.
That's
after
that's
they were both already gone.
minor spoiler. That's a Valentine quest.
Yeah. And if I remember correctly, one of the DLCs that came out is like an extension of the Valentine quest. Isn't that correct? Is that what Far Harbor is?
I wouldn't know. I haven't played it yet.
I recall seeing it somewhere. That, I think it's Far Harbor. That it's like a
Yeah, I know it starts with Valentine, but I don't know how far he goes into the actual story.
okay.
One
I
thing
haven't listened to the spoilers yet.
One thing I enjoyed was the whole story with the lady who's addicted to drugs in your settlement.
Kate.
And because you find, later you find some small bits and pieces about her from other, from terminals and stuff. And that's really interesting, I think. And also when you visit other vaults, you get some background story there as well. Especially the one, the vault with all the kids. That really made an impression on me.
Yeah, that was tough. That was a tough one.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait, there's a vault with kids? Spoiler. I'm just kidding.
I don't think it was as bad though as one of the first things you come on in Fallout 3 is like an old elementary school, and that was pretty tough.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Although on the train of elementary schools, how many people have thought about the pink paste?
Oh God.
Oh, yeah. I remember
The goo.
Mm.
That one hit me in the feels. So
On to brighter things.
yeah, on to other. Thanks for that level of depression.
You're welcome.
On to other news. We do a pine leaf cutscene. Anyways, what is your? The game has a handful of traveling companions that you could travel with that are in essence mules that can carry like 100 or so pounds of stuff. They could do all sorts of attacks. They can do special things like hacking terminals or opening locks or just providing snide comments all the time, constantly. Thanks, Kate. Which are your favorite companions and pretty much why? We'll start with you, Brax, since you're the fresh guy here.
Okay. This is a good question because I really like the companions, and I like that they all have kind of their own story that you discover as you travel around with them. So that's one of my favorite things to do is to pick up a new one and figure out what makes them tick and what they like and don't like. I would say my favorite ones, I'm not really, I don't know. That's a tough one. I would say probably Curie is my favorite one. She's the one that is like a Mr. Handy robot that's been stuck down in a vault for a long period of time, and her scientist friends have died off a long time ago, and she continues to run all the experiments and stuff. She's really cool because she's been tucked away in this vault as long as you were frozen in a vault, pretty much. So it's kind of neat to hear her reacting to the devastation in kind of a robotic fashion, but still being surprised by how different everything is. I also liked Kate just because she was so sassy, I think. And Kate is a redemption story too. So it's kind of fun that she has kind of pulled herself out of this lifestyle of addiction and self destruction in order to kind of and then you learned a lot about her kind of family history and stuff through this too, as to why she's done what she's done in her life, and she kind of comes out a little bit better on the other side too. So that's kind of an uplifting story. So probably those are the two that I like the most. Dance is okay, but he can get kind of annoying too. And he's so big. It's like, get out of my way, Dance. Can't see anything.
I know this is going to surprise you. I never got him as a companion. But on the flip side, I couldn't get Kate to join me, in the Institute. I don't know why.
Weird. My favorite one is definitely dog meat. Unlike Braxwood, I don't really like companions that much, and I don't like them in like MMOs either. I think it's something about sharing the glory or something. But no, I really like dog meat. He's the best.
So did you end up choosing any of the perks that sort of bonus you for traveling just with dog meat?
I didn't realize there was any perks. But so if I could choose any, I haven't noticed.
Yeah, there's some dog-specific ones that you can pick as you level up.
I think it was called like
Right,
the
okay.
Lone Wanderer
Yeah.
or something like that.
All right, no, I didn't go that route.
I think like I know that I had a ton of problems because you can either go. You really have to like focus your character. So I actually ended up the second playthrough choosing my companion based upon my weaknesses. So I would always like have Kate with me to just pick locks everywhere. But of course you fall in love with her, then you end up, like Brax said, you sort of have, she has that redemptive thing situation, no spoilers. But after that, I just kept her around for companionship. Does that make sense?
Completely.
It's a bit sad.
Sad but true. It wasn't like I was carrying around like, one of those like Japanese pillows,
Yeah,
Yeah,
I could see that happening.
What about you, Ray?
Okay, I can quite categorically say that I've pretty much fell in love with Piper and Kate at the same time. So had them
That
running.
is a hard choice.
Well, no, there's no choice. You have them both. I mean, it lets you do it. So why the hell not? Curie, on the other hand, is a little bit too innocent for my taste. For me personally, as the evolution of Curie as she goes along. I'm not entirely sure how far we go with spoilers on that one. Deacon,
I stayed away from that too.
Yeah, Deacon is definitely a person that I did like having along. I enjoyed Deacon, admittedly, because I was playing Railroad at the time, and I probably will always play Railroad in future playthroughs, and more than likely than not. Dance himself is a bit of a stuck-up. I would like to use other words to describe Dance, but yeah, pompous ass.
Deacon is cool because he changes clothes as you go along. You'll turn around and you'll be like, "What are you wearing? Why do you have pajama pants on?"
Awesome.
He's the only companion that does that.
I remember in my first playthrough, I had Preston with me, and
thanks for reminding me. I was drawing a blank on his name, and I thought I must be consciously blocking it out for some reason.
Exactly. I had Preston with me on my first playthrough, and I got sucked hard into those Minutemen quests, and the endless amount of I have another distress, I have another settlement that needs your help.
Yes, let's send the general, the most important person, to rescue this person. Again.
That's
from the most fortified encampment that you have.
Yeah, that's I took an arrow to the knee joke, because I have another settlement that needs your help. So the second time I played through, I was like, I hate this guy with all my core. I do not want anything to do with this guy because of just the endless side quests he sent me on. So I found out, and I sat there and I strategized. When you do that quest where you go up and you meet him in the museum, and the Deathclaw attacks and all that other stuff, you could get the power armor, you could kill the Deathclaw, and it fulfills the quest. But to advance that storyline into the Minutemen quest, you actually have to go back into the museum, find the guy, and tell him that you killed everybody, and then that advances it. And the next thing you know, you start the Minutemen quest, right?
Yeah.
And then he becomes an option. So I just never turned that quest in. and I left those poor guys inside that museum, and that's been the best playthrough I've ever had in my entire life. So that's my huge pro tip. Just leave them in the museum. They'll be stuck up there with, just pick up that one magazine so you don't have to see them.
Actually, harking back to an original comment I made about like the lackluster of action at the start of the game, if they landed you straight into that fight after leaving the vault, the game would have made so much more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
I think on my part, I really fancied definitely Dogmeat and Kate, but yeah, you're right. Piper, the whole Piper and Kate, they would even have like snide comments when they were near each other. Did you ever pick up on that?
Yeah, did you get the comments when you dismiss one for the other, and the one that Kate makes to Piper and about the threesomes? You didn't get that one? Oh, damn! Well,
I must have missed that.
Yeah, you'll be going back for that.
Yeah. I already uninstalled it. You guys
I've got to know.
Tomorrow. You guys are going to see me on Steam playing Fallout, and you guys are going to call me out.
Yeah.
So Sig in chat saying Barry just doesn't want to share her pies with her companions. That is so true.
Yeah.
But
And that has another level of meaning as well.
Okay.
So this game has this torturous vending machine with a claw that lets you pick up a piece of pie, and then it always slips through, right? That has to be like a nightmare situation for you, Barry.
I spent like 24 hours on that. Just
Oh
kidding.
my god!
Just kidding. But yes, that's really annoying.
Isn't there... I have seen pictures of people that actually picked it up. There's got to be some weird trick to
Right.
actually getting the piece of pie. Or is
I think
that
it's
just
the
a
RNG? Yeah, I think it's the RNG.
Oh, RNG. So you could actually get the piece of pie. See, now, like tomorrow, you're going to see her in game, and she's just going to die of dehydration trying to get this piece of pie. Even though she got like a nuclear bazooka in your backpack, you just can't get this piece of pie out of this glass. We have covered a lot on this game, and I think in the interest of the listeners, we'll probably cut the rest of this stuff out. Is there anything you think that we didn't talk about that sort of really made you love this game?
Actually,
I have something that really makes me loathe it, but we can take that off.
Loathe it?
there is one thing that I really do want to talk about a lot, enlighten on. The main point of the main, I wouldn't say the main plot line. What's the game's greatest asset and what's its greatest failing? And I believe it is both the same thing, and that is the settlement system. It's great for the first time you do it, for the first settlement you do it, but once you've done it for about 10, 15, 20 times, you just don't care anymore.
Yeah,
But you still have to do it.
exactly.
I really tried the first playthrough to liberate every settlement and sort of build it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, the second time, my intentions were 100%, I guess, selfish. Like, I wanted an awesome house for myself. I made squalor little huts for everybody else, and I only kept them around just to generate food and water for me.
I made my own little army dressed all the same, and they could just... I really wanted them to like walk in a line, but I couldn't make that happen.
Okay, on that subject, I do remember seeing your tweets about that, and I thought that was hilarious that you actually crafted everybody in your settlements matching uniforms.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That was
I
such a
actually
unique
had
idea.
different uniforms for the gardeners and different uniforms for the sort of patrols and stuff. So yeah, Dictator Barry.
Wow. So DJ, I wanted to touch real quick on one of the things that, even though I think Skyrim is a great game and I have a lot of fun in it, I'm still not a big fan of the combat in Skyrim when it comes to the melee part of it. I just don't like the way that it works, and I think that the way they did the VAT system is really nice for guys that are, you're in my age that don't have the fast twitch muscles anymore that first-person shooters typically require.
Yeah,
it's a nice option to have. You don't have to use it, but it's really nice to have that option.
Mm-hmm.
Although even the VAT system in Fallout 4, you still need to be a little bit twitchy to basically get your good shots.
That is true, but it's definitely not to the level. I mean, I had a heck of a time trying to swing an axe in Skyrim until I figured out that I'm much better with a bow and arrow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, I think most of the fantasy lines, the Elder Scrolls, I've almost always played like a sneaky, person, and it was more sneak up stealth kills, and then sort of duck away, or like you said, take somebody out with a bow. So I rarely played as just a get in there toe to toe, stand toe to toe and just hit each other with axes.
I've done that with one playthrough of Skyrim.
If I can just add, one of the things I really like about Fallout that we haven't talked about is the music. I really, really like it. It's. I know that there's a lot of people who get really bored really fast with it, but I really enjoy it. I haven't, muted it and put another soundtrack on or anything.
Yeah, that's true.
I think it's a good choice.
Oh, Barry, this is a shameless plug. Have you heard the podcast I did with Game On for MMORPG.com where we interviewed Enon Zur?
No.
Oh, go back and listen to that. It was a really fun episode. We interviewed the composer for the Fallout music. Yeah, he's a cool guy.
I will have to check this out.
Same.
Awesome. Yeah.
Put the link in chat or in our. Put it in the show docs.
Yeah.
Right
Actually,
next to my link, please.
Yes.
Yeah.
Along with my YouTube channel. Plug. Okay. Anyway, the other thing that actually with the Fallout 4, what excelled at was the actual map design. Where it actually went like vertically rather than basically trying to spread out as fast from one end of the map to the other. They condensed a lot of content in vertical slices, which was amazing within Boston. Yes, it was a bit FPS drag with shadows and all that sort of crap, but the actual design of the levels within the buildings was amazing.
Mm-hmm. I really felt there was only, even when you're going through Boston, there was so many buildings I was amazed that you could actually go into that were just, empty or something, but they had a couple cans sitting around. But in most games like this, you would almost see just boarded up houses everywhere,
Yeah.
There's still some boarded up houses, though.
Yeah,
I was actually sorry. Yeah, I was actually amazed about, when I had the first look at Fallout, the map, I was just like, okay, this isn't that impressive. But then as I got to the first town and, it took me a day to get through everything, I was just, okay, this might be a lot of things to explore here. So that was a really good surprise for me because I had definitely expected that you could maybe go into one or two buildings and that was it. Yeah.
Yeah, and supposedly Far Harbor is pretty decent size too.
Has anybody had any interest in playing the whatever? It's like a hardcore. What do they call it? Survival mode.
Not at all.
No. No.
No, that's not me.
That's the pies.
Awesome.
There were a lot of people excited for that, but I was not one of them. I kept thinking, you know what, this is I have enough challenge and survivability during my workday. I don't need to come home and have survival mode.
Yeah.
Yeah, living life is the ultimate survival mode.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just a strategic guy. I don't even know what I do at work anymore.
We're just a bunch of casuals here.
Yeah.
Hey, we're all in the middle of our life where we've got the spare time, we've got the spare money. We don't really need to be. Well, actually, we don't really have a lot of spare time, but we've got the spare money. We don't need to be like tapping out, like putting hours into games and not enjoy it. We'd rather move on and do something else.
I got the money. I wish I could buy more time.
There's a trade-off.
I crossed some threshold at some point in the past few years where I'm just like, I'm well off, but I don't have a lot of time. So, that's...
Talking of shameless plugs.
Yeah, shameless plugs. I spend most of my time
really
on YouTube.
Well off, yeah.
I'm comfortable. Let's put it that way. Which is why I don't accept donations personally for this show. See how I did the transition there?
Oh, wow. Very smooth.
So, on to XPQuest news. There is no news. That was an easy section.
Yeah, there's been nothing in 6 months.
We're back. I think Andang posted some stuff. The only thing I'm really excited for is Farming Simulator 17 is coming out soon. So,
Does this one have Beats DLC?
Get some.
I didn't mind Farming Simulator 13, but the lag for it for playing for anybody else that wasn't in Australia was nigh on impossible.
Oh yeah, I played with some Germans and that was bad. It was not even just because we couldn't speak the same language. Like I don't even know how I got on their server, but it was bad. So in our Finding Time to Grind section, what do you Whiteberry?
Well, I'm selling my house at the moment and buying a new one, so I'm not playing anything at the moment. If I get time to play anything, it will be The Long Dark, which is awesome. And I'm looking into Folktale that I'm trying.
That's actually
out.
Quite a good game. I've played it when it was in development. I haven't played it lately, but
it's still in development. So,
of course,
as I understand it, it's been in development for many years. But I like it. Yeah.
See, Whiteberry, I've been like, I stalk your gaming feed because usually when you get passionately into something, you've really launched into a really good game. But you lost me at Salt. I just do not get that game. I'm like wandering around in this like Zelda cartoony, sea thing. I'm like finding pirates, and I just don't get it. I just had to give up. I gave up on Salt.
Okay. Well, it's
Don't explain it. You'll ruin it.
Okay. Shut up, Barry. Okay.
No. You can spin it out. I'm just being funny.
No, you're not.
No, it's just a cartoonish like survival game, I guess. Except you can't die. So, but yeah, I actually liked it because it's just exploring all the islands around you, really, and getting things and building some big boats and stuff. And yeah, it's very relaxing and enjoyable, I think.
What was that game you played with we were stranded on a desert island and you were like the queen of collecting coconuts?
Oh, that's Stranded Deep.
Deep, yeah.
It's in early access at the moment. I really like this game.
That game gave me anxiety.
Really?
I would always lose my island.
Oh.
I would never find my way back.
Well, you can actually find the compass, if you're lucky.
If you're lucky, yes.
Yeah. But I really like that game. But it's still in very early development. But they're actually moving quite a lot on it lately. So you can build like a distillery to not to make whiskey or something, but to make water from salt water and stuff.
Okay.
It's really, really well thought through and very realistic as far as it goes for games. Yeah.
That just rang my memory. Did any of you guys find the robot in Fallout 4 that is it's a brewery?
Yep.
Yes.
That hit home for me.
Sounds interesting.
It's it's a protector bot that somebody jerry-rigged to be a brewery, and he literally, you could tell him to give you a beer, and he will brew a beer and hand you a beer. Look that one up. That's a quest.
All right.
Too. So Raetac, what are you playing?
Okay, basically there's a list of games that I've been playing, namely for recording for my YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Raetac Rages, if anybody's interested. Yeah, I've been playing like 2 mod packs for Minecraft, FTB Infinity Evolved Skyblock, which I believe you're playing as well, DJ.
The longest game name ever.
No, that's not the longest game name. I've seen a few others, but it's close. I'm basically focusing on the technology side of things. DJ's focusing more on the magic side of things, if you want to check out his channel. The other mod pack I'm actually playing...
Wait. Did you just reverse plug my stuff?
Mm-hmm.
I might have. Thank you. So the other mod pack that I'm playing is I'm actually playtesting the full final release of Regrowth. It's also available on FTB or Feed the Beast launcher. The other games I've been playing is SimCity. I've been plugging my way through that. Trying to keep like interest going with that one. That's also been going up on my channel. But who knows, that one might get pulled at some stage or another because interest is waning with that. But anyway, on the side that's not going onto my channel, I've been playing Ark Survival Evolved with the dinosaur collectors. And myself and other cohorts basically have a modded server that we like to basically go to all insane lengths and get mercilessly killed with big sharp pointy teeth.
Big teeth.
Big pointy teeth. And the other thing that I've only recently got into is Pokemon Go. Mm-hmm. The game that has got that.
Simulator.
I hear a lot about that.
Yeah, the game that has managed to get me to go out of the house for a half an hour walk around the block. I kid you not.
I use Ingress for that.
It's based
the same
on
company.
It's the same company, same engine.
Yeah.
So I've basically I used to love playing Pokemon way back in the yellow/blue days. So getting back into Pokemon, especially with the Go aspect, it's been quite interesting. Running into like people in the world that they're looking at their mobile phone while you're going to a point of interest. You meet up, you talk a little bit about Pokemon, and you go your separate ways. It's quite surreal, actually.
That's interesting. Game companies finally breaking fourth walls and
it's yeah, amazing.
I'm stoked. I can't wait to play the new version of Regrowth. That's going to be on my queued up stuff to play as soon as it actually gets released. I'm jealous you got in. That's awesome. Draculetta in chat is saying Pokemon Go equals NSA tracker. Think about it.
Do we need some Twilight music here?
Brax. You've
Well,
been punching heroes through walls. Is that right?
yeah. So Marvel Heroes just had their 3-year anniversary last month, and it ran for the whole month, and they were giving out all kinds of loot and stuff, and I found it a good time to level several heroes and pick up a couple heroes as well. So that was a good time. I logged in every single day because they were giving away stuff just for logging in. So I was doing that. Just started Tomb Raider not too long ago. Not the most recent one, but the one that rebooted the game series. because I've had that in my Steam library for a couple years. I picked it up when it was like $9 on a sale one time and never really launched it. So, but that's a fun game. I'm kind of enjoying my time there. But unfortunately, most of my time is getting sucked away from that because I'm still playing so much Fallout 4. And I just wanted to clear something up here because me and DJ play on this Brotherhood of Steel and Institute thing. My Brotherhood of Steel stuff is kind of an act in some ways. I mean, they were the first faction that I encountered, and I just, the gung-ho attitude is fun for me, but I actually aligned with the Railroad in the game. So I'm kind of walking the tightrope because I don't want to. I'd love to have the Brotherhood of Steel, using their vertibirds for me and their heavy machinery and stuff. But really, I feel more at home with the Railroad and kind of with their mission.
You can complete the game with having them both still alive. It is possible.
I'm going to try. But I'm already banished from the Institute, so there goes that one.
Blow that up every time.
That happens,
dude. Like
quick.
once you're in there, you're like, I feel like I'm in like Apple headquarters. It's really weird.
Yeah.
But at the same point, I'm expecting like nets to be outside the windows for the people that are working there.
It's way too Orwellian for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, their double standards. Oh, we're trying to protect humanity by killing it off.
Like, how blown? Okay, without spoilers, how blown was your mind when you learned about your son you're trying to find?
I was pretty much spoiled before I even got there.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
I wasn't learned yet.
Okay, that's what dance around the answer then, Brax.
I wasn't spoiled per se, but I had a lot of hunches that what direction it was going, just from kind of thinking through. Okay, so what year is this, and when did all this happen? And I was just kind of thinking.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a huge surprise, but it was when I finally did find him. It was kind of fun. It was one of those screenshot moments.
I've gotten that far as well, actually, almost from the start, where I think it was more a misinterpretation that I thought when you wake up the second time in the vault, when you're frozen, and I first thought it was right after, it was I saw it immediately as it was very long time after the first time happened. So, yeah, and I guess the point was I should have thought it was right after. But, yeah, I don't know. Okay, I'm not making sense, am I?
No, I can see you dancing around the answer.
You're actually on the right track.
Yeah.
So I've of course been playing some of the Infinity Evolve Skyblock nonsense, as I call it. Honestly, Ray, I'm hitting a wall where I can't really progress much further, and it's sort of driving me crazy. And
I hit walls every time I look at the recipes for the things I want next, and then I reverse engineer where I need to go to get to that, and I think, oh my god.
I have one of the guys on my server, Scott Viper. He is building a creative power cell. Like,
good luck to him.
Look at that. Yeah. That's like an in-game thing, and so he has. And honestly, love the guy to death. But when I need something and I don't feel like grinding out a few resources, I just fly to his base on my my enchanted broom and steal it. He just doesn't care. So I did get some respect though when I did fly into his base, because we're like 2,000 blocks apart. So
I think I need more friends like this.
I need a cup of sugar for some pie.
Yeah, exactly.
Get my
sugar
broom.
players.
I restarted playing Galactic Science at the behest of my kids, because I don't know what it is, they love that mod pack. So I'm like, I guess I'll just replay it. I started playing Shopkeep, which is fantastic.
I love that.
I have recorded every second of me playing that game, and I love it. So you'll see a lot more episodes of that on my YouTube channel.
I don't know. I wasn't sold.
It's like a mix between those time management games, those small quick ones, and a role playing game. It's very interesting combo.
And each round can easily last like 50 minutes to an hour, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
And just it's hilarious because you're constantly trying to restock shelves, and then you got all these people, and then out of nowhere some dude just shoplifts right in front of you, and then you go chasing the option of just obliterating them, but of course I kill everybody in between him and I, so it's a great thing. So I did pick up on Steam Turok Dinosaur Hunter, or as I call it, Ark version 0.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, that game is just as fun as it was on the Nintendo 64.
Mm-hmm.
If you see it on sale, everybody pick it up. And of course, I'm still trotting on my single playthrough of Lotro, and I am somewhere in Lothlorien. So anybody that's been following along my quest, Middle Earth, I've made it to Lothlorien. I've made it out of Moria, thank God.
Yay!
That's about the time I actually finished, left the Middle Earth scene.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
You might want to start speeding up a little bit, DJ.
Yeah.
Now I'm done with Moria. There's nothing more for me here. Bye.
Shameless plug. If you want to learn more about that, tune in to Lotro Players News on Saturday night.
Do it!
Hey! We apparently have what has been written down as 11D1 supporters on Patreon.
Oh, fantastic.
If you would like to support shows on the Players Alliance like XPQuest, simply go to the donations page where you can support the Players Alliance on Patreon. There you will find rewards including a mention on the podcast of your choice or even a guest for an episode on XPQuest. Woohoo!
Ooh.
It's well worth it.
Drac is saying, too soon, Brax. So you can always contact us at podcast@XPQuest, or you can follow us on Twitter at Players Ally for the Players Alliance, at XPQuest, or myself at DJPimpDaddy. That is the easiest way to get a hold of any of us. We are very chatty on Twitter, apparently. And you can follow our guests. Whiteberry is at TOARDA, Tarda. Tarda. Okay. Or you could go to her website, www.sendmeallyourpies-or-I-will-bite-your-ankle.info.
I can't believe you registered that. Really?
We had a sale.
Oh, God.
Raetac, you could be found on Twitter at Raetac Rages or at YouTube/user/Raetac Rages. You can find all these in the show notes. And, of course, Braxwood. You can find it over at Braxwoof or at Braxwoof.com. Or you can find his fantastic podcast, by the way. Kudos for that. Beyond Bossfights is on iTunes or any of your other various streaming services.
Yep,
Awesome
it's on the blog as well.
podcast.
You can find it
Yes.
Can also be found on Stitcher.
Yes, that too. I'm an iTunes guy. I don't know what these other things are. I've heard of them. I just don't know what they are.
Apple elitist.
I know. I love us.
Now
Join
it's
us.
starting to make sense, the whole Institute thing.
Okay, so don't forget to follow the other Players Alliance live shows. Mondays at 8:30 Eastern, you got DDO Players News, which is hopping still. Hopefully DDO will continue because they have really found their stride. Have you been in any of their live shows recently? It is nuts.
Is it? You mean Drax shows?
Yeah.
All right, Drac. Keep rolling.
He's actually has like celebrity guests all the time and stuff too. It's fantastic.
Awesome.
Like Bob Barker?
Yes, yeah, Bob Barker, and they have mini leather-bound books on mahogany shelves. Every other Thursday-ish night at 9 p.m. Eastern, we have XPQuest, allegedly, or so I've been told. And the last Friday of every month, thank you, whoever updated that document. And Saturdays at 8:30 Eastern, we have the flagship Lotro Players News. And, of course, you can always join our live shows here, xpquest.com/live. Nobody ever clicks on that link. So, next episode, I promised these guys over at Avalon Online that we would talk about their stuff. They reached out and contacted me. So I might actually have some guests from the devs from that. But Avalon, it's avalon-rpg.com. It is the oldest running RPG, I think, that's still out there running electronically. It is a text-based RPG, like a MUD, a multi-user dungeon, where you telnet into it and you just start playing. It is bizarre and wonderful and
Really?
intriguing. So I highly suggest everybody go out there and check it out and drop them a line, because I don't think they know that we're going to do the show about them. But I'm gonna go pester them with a stick and get them on the show. So we're going to talk about Avalon.
They need to stick that sucker behind a modem bank.
I know. Dude, you got to get a Telnet client to play the game. It's awesome. Kids these days don't know what Telnet is. So, okay, any final thoughts from the assembled Illuminati of people here?
I would like to say thank you, and it's been a pleasure spending time with yourself, DJ, once again, and also for the first time chatting with Braxwood and Whiteberry for any length of period.
Woohoo!
Yeah, thanks,
Yeah.
DJ.
Yeah, thank you, DJ, and to you too, Brax and Raetac, and Dang in absentia. It's been a pleasure and fun to catch up on this.
Remember,
I'm just happy I've had the First Players Alliance podcast a long time. It has a blue screen, apparently. I get that record.
war never changes.
We'll
Yes,
leave
it does.
at that. That's our outro. Everyone have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.